Hi there. My name is Helen. I have taught many students over many years all about drawing. I'm a visual artist and I know that drawing is fundamental to everything we do in visual art. So in the following video, you're going to be seeing a tip that I think will be really helpful. And I hope that you'll watch that, and then there'll be more information at the end.
Have you ever heard of the golden ratio? It's a device that places parts of the picture in the most advantageous place for the viewer to appreciate. But it is kind of complicated. So there's a simpler and a very similar formula that we can look at. You may have heard of the rule of thirds. It actually mimics the golden ratio, but it's a lot easier to understand and it's a lot easier to do. So you're going to see me doing that in this little video section here. I'm actually dividing my drawing paper into thirds. Now you do have to measure pretty carefully so that you have careful measurements done. But what we're looking for is thirds, both horizontally. So there'll be two lines, one at the left third and one at the right third. And also vertically, so one at the top third and one at the bottom third. Notice how I'm measuring each time in 3 places. That actually helps me get a much more accurate line that is parallel with the sides of the paper and the top and bottom of the paper, and that's an important thing, to measure that carefully. Once that's done, you're going to see, like you see right here, that there are 9 sections to this paper now, but there are 4 places where these thirds cross one another. Those are the sweet spots, I guess you could say. You will pick one of those places to put something really interesting in your picture. That could be some kind of an object that goes right there. It could be a value change that's pretty dramatic. It could be an interesting shape or lines that cross in some way. This is the place where you want your viewer to look first. And this applies to drawing and painting, really any kind of two-dimensional work. Let's look at how some well-known artists have used this very idea and a few other ideas to go with it. Vermeer's interior painting, A Lady and Two Gentlemen, have this idea happening. Let's look at how. You can see I've added a grid here, and you can see where those 4 possible places converge. I found 2 places that are a possibility, but I picked the one on the right, and you can see where that is. The reason I picked this one is because this is where the white cuff on her red dress has a real obvious change in values. And not only that, but the red dress really pulls our eye to that point. Notice also how the folds in her dress really point our eyes right to that 1/3 spot. And while we're looking at this, let's notice how our eye is now drawn over to the left because of the very obvious value change between the white tablecloth and the darker part of the table. And that points our eyes back up into the picture again and back around. So we have sort of a rotation of the eyes happening here, which is really an important part of good composition. Moving forward in time here, let's take a look at Monet's landscape painting called Road in a Forest, Fontainebleau. He also uses this same 1/3 device, and let's see how. You can see a grid that I put on here to show us where the thirds would be and where those 4 sweet spots are. And here is where our eye is directed to look, because the road directs us right there, and also that funnel of trees where the sky and the trees come right down to that point, that also directs our eye right to that spot, and that happens to be that left 1/3 convergence there. While we're looking at this, let's also talk about visual balance. Monet has balanced both sides with values. So we have the dark set of trees and a shadow which is balanced, not symmetrically, but still balanced visually with the darker trees over on the right side of the painting. So visual balance is another principle that we want to incorporate with good composition. Here's another painting of Monet's, a still life called Bouquet of Gladiolas, Lilies, and Daisies. It also follows the rule of thirds, but it is a little bit trickier to find. Here's the grid that I put on it, and let's look at where those 4 spots would be. This one is a little bit tricky, like I mentioned. Well, here is where I call it. I called it on the left lower convergence of thirds, and the reason for that is that Monet has given us a very dramatic contrast between light value and dark value in that spot. So that is another way that we can draw attention of the viewer to a spot by having a very sharp contrast. And while we're right here, let's just talk about things being not perfectly centered. Most of the time, when things are a little bit off-center, it is much more pleasing to the eye and makes for better composition. Well, one would wonder, does this apply to abstract work as much as other kinds of work? And the answer is yes, it does. The Lark is an abstract painting by Hans Hofmann in the 20th century. So let's see about the grid on this. So you can see there are no identifiable objects that might draw our eye first, but there are some interesting colors and some really dramatic value changes. That's why I have picked this lower right side where there is a strong value change. So with abstract work, it could be a shape, it could be a bright and different color in that spot, it could be lines that draw us in. There's a variety of ways that could be done. While we're here, let's look at balance again, because there is great balance here. The red is balanced on both sides, and also he allows his painting to bleed off of the left side and also an opposing side as it kind of goes off on the bottom right side. That's important too, that it would bleed in both ways.
I hope that tip was helpful to you. It may be something that was entirely new to you, or maybe it was something you knew before and it's just really helpful to have a reminder about it. Either way, I do want you to know I have a free tip sheet, my top 5 tips for better drawing. These are things I've come up with over the years of my teaching that I know help people really become better at their skills. So it's entirely free for a download, and all you need to do is take a look at the information below and you can download it for yourself. And then also you'll be getting regular emails from me just with encouragement, new tips, new ideas to help you as a visual artist. Thanks so much, and I look forward to being in touch with you.